Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that.
It had been reported everywhere for days that Kamala Harris would try to provoke Donald Trump. And from the start, she did.
Kamala Harris.
Over and over again.
I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook. A bunch of lies, grievances, and name-calling.
No surprise, ABC's David Muir and Lindsay Davis went along.
We have an election in just 56 days. And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy, and the role of a president in a moment of crisis. Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them.
Ms. Harris repeatedly defined the former president in the darkest terms ever seen in a U.S. presidential campaign.
You talk about extreme.
Given the Harris team's willingness to tip its debate strategy, one might have assumed Mr. Trump would have listened to his advisors and come prepared.
She prosecuted Donald Trump tonight.
Instead, the debate format left little time for Mr. Trump to describe his policy ideas, and too often they came out as, well, a word salad.
I'm talking now.
In contrast, while Ms. Harris has famously adapted or revised her politics over the past several weeks, the Trump political model has not budged, and that is hurting him.
Live from the University of Colorado in Boulder, the Republican presidential debate.
Mr. Trump's political persona emerged across a lengthy series of Republican primary debates in 2015 and 2016.
This is the man that was a managing general partner at Lehman Brothers when it went down the tubes and almost took every one of us with us, including Ben and myself.
As an outsider, Mr. Trump's gruff, blunt style had appeal then because Mr. Trump caught the moment when many voters were souring on traditional politics and the major parties.
He was so nice. He was such a nice guy. And he said, oh, I'm never going to attack. But then his poll numbers tanked. That's why he's on the end. And he got nasty. So you know what? You can have him.
But that was 8 years ago. The current Trump model is a caricature of the original, and Mr. Trump isn't really someone who could withstand becoming a caricature.
She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat.
Mr. Trump chose not to expose himself to the critical pressure of the 2023 Republican primary debates against candidates like Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. Instead, he chose to hold large rallies, which have eroded Mr. Trump's skills as a communicator of ideas.
We're run by stupid people, and we found that out at the debate with Joe. How did that work out?
Now, no matter the venue, Mr. Trump forces his listeners to fill in the blanks of policy substance that he leaves out. But for swing voters, what he is saying is too often incoherent and confusing.
Viktor Orban said it. He said the most respected, most feared person is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president.
Mr. Trump was right to distrust ABC, but I think it's possible that Ms. Harris and her colluding ABC moderators overplayed their hands.
Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking.
Her relentless personal attacks may have come across as over the top with undecided voters, many who are already untrusting of the mainstream media.
It was a different term, and it was a term that related to energy because they have destroyed our energy business. That was where bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville, that story has been, as you would say, debunked.
However, despite Mr. Trump's bad night, the debate made something important clear to viewers. Kamala Harris has a character problem, and her repeated ducking of questions about her past policies became impossible not to notice.
You should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that?
Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said it at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow.
Trump himself did not emphasize that she wasn't answering these questions, but maybe he didn't have to. her instinctive evasiveness was blatant.
We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings.
Ms. Harris and her advisors, like Joe Biden in 2020, embraced adaptability because they had to. But Ms. Harris's crafted flexibility, as demonstrated in the debate, is exactly what many voters don't like about politics today, and have not since the 2016 election. With this in mind, it is still Mr. Trump's election to lose. And if nothing changes after this debate, he will.